Hello and welcome to the very last Business 7 program for 2021. In today's edition, it's all about policy uncertainty and business-unfriendly policy. We're talking about the proposed legislation that is supposed to replace the very controversial Namibia Investment and Promotion Act. Now, last week, Trade Minister Lucia Ipumbu tabled the bill in this regard in the National Assembly. It caused an absolute uproar in the private sector, and then yesterday she withdrew the bill without giving any reasons until further notice. Now, Business 7 looks at this concept or this proposed bill of investment. All the issues are in there. The private sector and legal experts says it is unconstitutional, and we set it out point for point why they say so. Stay tuned.
While Namibia and its cities are seen as one of the cleanest countries in Africa, plastic pollution is a big problem. Therefore, it's up to each of us to do what we can to reduce the use of plastic, especially single-use plastic bags. At Liberty Life Namibia, we've taken the decision to turn all our old branding items into reusable shopping bags. It's a way in which we can drive sustainability and look after our most important stakeholder, our environment. If you also believe in sustainability and would like more information, please get in touch. Liberty Life Namibia. In it with you.
As if tourism wasn't in a bad enough space, we were hit by the new variant of COVID-19, Omicron. Of course, this happened last week, and it had an absolute knee-jerk reaction from countries worldwide. Now, in Business 7 today, we have an infographic, and we're looking at tourism stats. Now, these stats were compiled globally by the United Nations, and it shows you the state of tourism as of the 1st of November this year. Of course, in the meantime, the situation has deteriorated significantly, but just to give you an idea of how bad it was on the 1st of November, 21% of all destinations worldwide had their borders closed completely for international tourism. 12% of all destinations worldwide were closed for international tourism for at least 79 weeks. That's 1.5 years. And another stat, 25% of all destinations worldwide were partially closed for international tourism on the 1st of November of this year. As we've said, Omicron, the emergence of the variant last week, changed this picture completely, and Africa being absolutely stigmatized by this variant. And in this regard, BIS7 spoke to the Chief Executive Officer of the Hospitality Association of Namibia, Gitta Paetzold.
We've always had our focus on the future, the authors of our own unorthodox stories.
Because see, we're different. We're reaching for our goals.
Going against the grain and living to tell the tale.
We see our journey differently.
That has brought us to the singular moment of freedom.
Welcome to Gitta Paetzold. She's the CEO of the Hospitality Association of Namibia. Hello, Gitta. I suppose it's a hectic time for you.
It's crazy. I think this is the worst time that tourism has had in the last 2 years. But yeah, we'll get through this as well.
Gitta, since the news broke of the new variant and the absolute knee-jerk reaction that we've seen from overseas, what has the situation been like in Namibia?
Jean-Marie, at the moment, nobody actually knows anything for sure. Obviously, and I've just seen headlines now that most of the big tour operators in Central Europe, that is now Der Tour, TUI, Studiosas, Chameleon Safaris, they've all cancelled their tours until the middle of January. So for the next 6 weeks at least, they've taken out their scheduled tours. That alone sends a message out there that there is no hope for a quick reconsideration of the decision, which we were still hoping for over the weekend, because we thought, as quickly as the decision was taken, as you said rightly, a knee-jerk reaction. Hopefully, given that there is no scientific proof that this virus originated in South Africa, and I mean, since then we've actually seen proof that the virus has been somewhere else before the clever South African scientists actually discovered it or named it or tested for it. We were hoping that this reaction would actually be reversed, or this decision would be reversed. But today, most of the tour operators said, and this is the problem, to build up tourism and to actually schedule tours and to sell them takes some time. In the olden days, we talked about the chain that takes 18 months before we can actually see tourists step on the ground here in Namibia. That has been shortened, thankfully enough, over the last 2 years. So we did have immense bookings, and the appetite for Southern Africa has been huge. I spoke to a tour operator as early or as late as last week on Thursday, who claims that for December, January, his bookings were looking 200% up on 2019. And then came Friday, came this knee-jerk reaction, and I think we're back to where we were in March 2020. And I still remember that in December last year, remember with the Beta variant, where they also closed to Southern Africa, same thing, didn't show any results or positive results. They didn't achieve anything by it except for crushing our tourism industry. And given where we were last week, where we basically had just managed to get back to the surface and put out our nose to grasp some air, I don't know. This latest blow is really hard to swallow.
Yeah, it's been extremely disheartening, even for ordinary Namibians, leave alone those in tourism. But what is the mood in the local tourism sector at the moment?
For the people that I've spoken to, I've never seen so many droopy shoulders, and we basically are with our hands in the air. We don't know what else to do, and it really, if we could only shout out to the world, just look at our figures. We keep on sharing notes, and people would compare the COVID rates and the incidence rates from across the globe. And those people that took decisions to ban Southern Africa are sitting with an incidence rate of 400, 500, even 1,000, where Namibia sits at 3. South Africa is also not much worse than we are. We've done everything right. Our government has taken the right preventative measures, except for, and that's the only thing that we really still need to step up in terms of getting close to where the world wants to be, is our vaccination rate. But other than that, we've done what it takes to actually provide a safe and convenient environment, and people are hungry for Africa. I mean, people are envious of what we have here, the wide open spaces, the sunshine. I mean, we're going into our summer now, and the bookings showed that people were very keen to come back to Africa. But obviously, now the discussions are those people that have booked on their own, that have sort of planned their own tours. Luckily, some of the airlines have kept the lifeline going. So we heard that Lufthansa and Eurowings Discover are keeping their flights going. They have to restrict it to German nationals, unfortunately, or those with permanent residence, or those with close family ties. But yeah, the rest that basically depend on employment, the 2-week quarantine that people are now subjected to again, makes it so unattractive to go and visit internationally, that we're losing even those people that are loyal to Namibia, that want to support us, but because of the restrictions, their hands are tight, and that's what makes it more difficult to swallow, because we know that people know where we are at the moment. We've done everything right, and still we get punished for it, and that's hard to swallow.
Yes, and even if there is a turnaround now from the major countries overseas, one sort of gets the idea that the damage has been done, that panic and fear and stigma is now shrouding Southern Africa, and yeah, people will be hesitant to come maybe.
Jean-Marie, I'd like to believe that last year, the image of South Africa when they, talked about the beta variant and, South Africa had discovered, or there was a new variant in South Africa, there people still had that stigma about Africa and all dangerous things come from Africa. I'm happy to see that from the word go, from Friday, Saturday, Sunday already, there was international press on praising the Southern African medical system and saying, we should actually praise and applaud South Africa for having discovered the virus and for being transparent enough to open up. So hopefully that will count for us. The damage is done for the next week, 2, 3, most probably now that reading that tours have been cancelled until the middle of January. So unfortunately, we can almost, close shop and just wish for a quick end of 2021. But I would like to believe that there is more support for South Africa and for the transparency that we've shown in terms of revealing the truth about this pandemic. And there are many more calls to say, listen here, we're in it together, and it doesn't help, sort of pointing. It's almost, for many, it feels that Central Europe is trying to deflect their chaos that they currently are going through by blaming something else or somebody else for an even more vicious virus. Problem is they don't have any proof that it is more vicious. It might be more transmissible, but whether it's more deadly, nobody knows. And, that's the sad thing. So I think hopefully many more people, and we've seen it also here in Namibia, you saw quite a few big companies, our own president, His Excellency, President Geingob speaking up, our international relations ministry speaking up. So hopefully more and more people will get very, very vocal on where we are and the unfairness of the first world treating the third world just because they don't know any better. For us here in Namibia, it would mean that we really need to also start to get vocal and to be much more transparent in terms of where we are in terms of our COVID figures. That was one of the blames that we had throughout last year, that they said, well, we don't know whether we can trust the figures and the information that comes from Southern Africa, Namibia in particular for our case. So, it's very important for us to really put it out there in terms of where we are with our testing capacity, with our vaccination campaigns. And yes, if we can make one appeal to the nation of Namibia, let's show the world that we can, that we're standing together, that we, go fully on for vaccination. And hopefully we'll get through this. Some of them I think don't, but will not get through this because this blow is hard. And it comes at a time where everybody was they were on their backs already. They've been living on borrowed money, which they were hoping to recuperate now with good bookings that were on the cards. We had a book full of positive bookings. That's all been scrapped at the moment.
Gitta, what at this stage is your message to the tourism industry?
It's difficult because we said we'll get through this, and last year I remember we said, please, if we can't get our borders open in September, we might not make it, and we did make it. There were the December closures again, and we did make that session as well. We've had our ups and downs. Then came our tourism high season, and we were hopeful that the international community would visit us. And then Namibia slipped into its worst COVID state. Remember the June and July phase. We've overcome that crisis as well. And things were looking so up. So I feel that, let's just not give up mood. It's difficult at a time where I see that many people don't. It's like they're out of breath at the moment. Not because of the COVID virus, but because of the desperation and because of to us, it's almost unbelievable how quickly an inconsiderate knee-jerk reaction of somebody else who hasn't maybe even been to this part of the world can crush us all. So the mood is very, very somber. It's depressing, and to go into the festive season with that kind of mood is difficult. But Namibia has shown resilience. Let's just pull through this one as well. If we can do it together, and let's shout out to all our friends out there, because I do know that Namibia has a lot of friends. Hopefully they will help us shout out the message that Namibia is the place to be, to escape the lockdowns. Europe is going to lockdown. Everybody talks about it. We've got the space. We've got the atmosphere at the moment here. So don't listen. I would almost want to say don't listen to the international travel bans, because it's not true. Let's show them what the truth is. That's all we can say.
Gitta, thank you very much for your time. We know that you're extremely busy at the moment, and we wish you only the best in your endeavors, and to our tourism industry in general. We are the land of the brave, and we'll support as far as we can. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All the best. Thanks.
A lot has changed in the past 160 plus years, but the world is evolving faster every day. Founder Samuel Lowell Price's version of a self-driving car was a really smart horse. Who knows how our great-grandchildren will get around? Here at PwC, we know we're responsible for guiding our people, clients, and communities through this constant change. How do we engage the more than 220,000 people across 157 countries in the PwC network? Through a clear and simple purpose, to build trust in society and solve important problems. What that really means is, in between our morning coffees and our evening commutes home, we all live and breathe the same core values. Here they are, the 5 things that make us, us. We act with integrity. We speak up for what's right, even when it's the harder option. We make a difference. We stay informed and proactively look for ways to better our world. We care about each other, about our clients and stakeholders, about empowering everyone to do their best. We work together. We know feedback, collaboration, and diverse perspectives help us deliver the highest quality outcomes. We reimagine the possible. Nothing great ever came from sticking with the status quo. We always challenge ourselves to innovate. Our values make us who we are and will help propel us toward the legacy we've envisioned for the future. A sentiment Sam and his horse would have definitely stood behind.
It's summer in Namibia and it's hot. With COP26, the climate summit in Glasgow in Scotland recently is fresh in our minds still, we bring you this video by the World Bank on the impact of climate change and the heat waves that has been caused.
Hi, I'm Stefan Algat, Senior Climate Advisor here at the World Bank Group. And today I want to share another set of key data that is underpinning the crucial conversations taking place at Glasgow at the COP26. Let's dive into what can be a very confusing discussion: the link between global warming and climate extremes, such as heat waves, heavy precipitation, storms, droughts, tropical cyclones. Let's focus on heat waves. So heat waves are long periods of time during which the temperature remains higher than a certain threshold. And those events have a huge impact on health, especially for the very young and the elderly. Okay, so now on this figure, you see 1 dot for every year over a 50-year period between 1850 and 1900. In how many of those years did we experience a heat wave? Just 1. But since then, the Earth has warmed by 1 degree Celsius. So how often do you think the same intensity of heat wave occurred today? Well, it's already 5 times more frequent. So over 50 years, you'll see 5 years instead of 1 with such an event. Can we say something about the future? Yes. Let's first look at a scenario where the temperature increased by 1.5 degrees. This is one of the objectives of the Paris Agreement. So out of the 50 dots, we have now about 9 dots with a heat wave. It means that the frequency of those events has been increased 9 times. And if we can't make it and reach the 1.5 degree target and we go to 2 degrees instead, well, the number grows to 14. So the frequency is increased 14 times. And if we imagine a scenario with no climate action at all, then the temperature could get to up to 4 degrees Celsius, And in that point, it's most of the years, about 40 years out of 50, where we would have what was exceptional in the past with only once in 50 years. That acceleration and the impact on the lives of millions of vulnerable people is why the decisions that will be made at the COP26 matter so much for everybody on this planet. Thank you very much, and do look at the other data presentations in this special series.
You know, a few weeks ago, I would never do this on a Saturday morning. Back then, I was standing in line all day. Now it's just like that.
You are using the FNB banking app like I told you.
Girl, it saved my weekend. Now I can do all my banking on this.
Payments, transfers, checking statements.
Even opening accounts.
Just like that.
Oh, did I tell you what my husband did?
Even me, I want to save time with the, what's the name of the app?
FNB app.
Don't be left behind. Make the switch to the FNB app, online banking or cell phone banking, and change the way you bank to change your life. FNB, how can we help you?
That brings us to the end of Business 7 for today, but also for 2021. We want to thank you for your support and for sharing our passion for business and economics, and we'll see you again next year. We wish you a wonderful festive season and a prosperous 2022. We're playing out with a special video just to put you in the mood for the holiday and to show that Namibia remains a prime tourism destination locally and internationally. And this video is Scotty Billett. Now, Scotty Billett is a professional freestyle motocross athlete in South Africa, and he compiled this video of his adventures in the Namib.
Snakes in the bedroom, bang in the middle of a funny little place called hell. Oh, well, everybody there's got trouble by the dozen. It's a lonely little place to dwell. Hope I don't make the trip through the floor. You told me once I want it, but you wanted it more.